What if the solid reality we experience, the very ground beneath our feet, is constantly flickering in and out of existence, like trillions of times per second? It's a truly mind-bending thought, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Huh.
And that's really just the starting point for the deep dive we're taking today.
You got it. Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we sift through articles, notes, research, all sorts of stuff to pull out the key insights for you. Today, our mission is to really unpack this concept of common shared reality. We've got some fascinating source material on this. We're going to explore what this means for your perception, how consciousness actually functions according to this view, and, well, the surprising implications.
Yeah, implications for everything. Personal experience, global events, even financial forecasts.
Right. So get ready for some surprising facts, maybe. A journey into what our source calls the hidden mechanics of our world.
It's definitely a complex picture, but you start to see the threads, and you get these real aha moments.
So where do we start this common shared reality?
Okay, yeah. Let's unpack that definition from the source. It's common because, well, every living being has its own reality. You, me, a bug.
Okay. Everyone's got one.
Right. And it's shared because these realities, they bump up against each other. They impact one another through interaction or just being near each other.
Like a consensus reality.
Exactly. The source calls it that, where the rough edges are ground off by all that interaction.
Okay, so our brains see matter, feel matter, and that makes it feel real solid. But the source points to science suggesting, well, matter does not exist permanently, that it's mostly empty space.
Yeah, that's the core idea. It's not just philosophy. It's presented as how things are. Atoms are mostly space, not stuff.
So what does that mean for us day to day, if it's not solid?
That's the key question.
Yeah.
Right? It means the solidity we feel is, well, an illusion. It's created by incredibly fast processes.
Okay.
The source says reality is flashing in and out of existence 22 trillion times a second.
Wow, 22 trillion.
Yeah, unimaginably fast. And that flicker, it creates the feeling of solid, permanent things.
And sensation plays a role.
A crucial role. Sensation is the feedback loop for our consciousness. It participates in this. Illusion, making us think things are real. Without that constant sensory feed, there's no coherent reality in that moment for us.
That really reframes things. Okay, so reality is this constant, complex flicker.
Yeah.
What traps do we fall into because of that?
Well, the big trap is simplification. Our minds naturally want to simplify complexity. We slap labels on
You're
things.
calling this device a USB stick.
Exactly. It's a complex thing, right? Different materials, processes. But USB stick is easy shorthand, the mnemonic device, the source calls it.
But the label isn't the thing.
Precisely. And that's the problem. We mistake the label, the shorthand, for the actual complex thing itself.
And we miss stuff.
We miss the emergent aspects, the nuances that only come from the whole dynamic complexity. The source even quotes, the Deo that can be named is not the Deo.
Yeah. The label can't capture the essence.
It's a warning, right? Against that oversimplification. Reality is just too complex for our neat little boxes.
Okay, the map is not the territory. That leads us nicely into a different way of looking at consciousness itself. Our source talks about moving away from what they call the cryptology view.
Yeah.
Which sounds like standard materialism.
Yeah, that's their term for it, rational materialism. The idea that matter is primary and consciousness just sort of pops out of the brain somehow.
Which is the standard view for many.
It is. But the speaker calls this an inverted approach, or ass backwards, I think was the phrase used.
Okay.
And over the last, say, 15 years, they shifted to a consciousness-first view, an ontologically based understanding.
Meaning consciousness is fundamental.
Yes, consciousness is the ground floor and matter arises from it, which is a total flip from, say, academic influences like Daniel Dennett they mentioned, whose views were later seen as tainted by that matter-first assumption.
Right. A complete paradigm shift for them.
Huge shift.
So the source prefers terms like consciousness science or consciousness mechanics, avoiding maybe the religious feel of spiritual mechanics.
Correct. And within that consciousness science, there's a really key distinction between awareness and consciousness.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Awareness is what feeds consciousness. It's the raw input, maybe, but consciousness is the observer, the part that actually hears, understands, knows.
So the voice in my head isn't my consciousness.
According to the source, no. The part of your mind that is spewing out words is not your consciousness. That's just mental chatter. Consciousness is deeper. the observer behind it all.
Okay, that's critical for how we interact with reality then.
Absolutely. And from this view, the source introduces the event stream.
The event stream, like the underlying flow
Uh,
of stuff happening, what we perceive as time.
Exactly. The shit happening, as they put it. And here's where it gets really interesting. Humans are described as inherently psychic.
Psychic. How so?
Not like reading minds overtly, but as sophisticated sensors. We naturally pick up preant language, these subtle precognitive hints from that event stream, often totally subconsciously.
And there's a personal story.
Yeah, a really vivid one. On a plane in 1993, he felt a second lightning strike milliseconds before it actually hit the plane.
Wow.
He describes it as a solid indication of this ability we all potentially have.
And this connects to forecasting.
Yes, because his forecasting work involved aggregating language, essentially leaked out by these minds online, analyzing that collective leakage to see the patterns, the impressions coming from the event stream.
Tapping into a kind of collective precognition.
He could put it that way, yeah. Which leads us right into another pretty provocative idea from the source, engineered reality.
Engineered reality. Okay, what does that mean?
Well, the source claims that certain groups that use terms like the Elohim worship cult or deep state have been actively trying to engineer our reality, shape it, since maybe 1937.
That's a big claim. What's the evidence presented?
The source points to historical shifts in media, like a radical turn towards dystopian views in movies, books, starting in the late 40s, early 50s.
And the idea is this wasn't accidental.
The suggestion is it was intentional, designed to steer the event stream, to nudge society towards certain outcomes favored by these groups, like predictive programming almost.
Okay. So if human minds are the sensors picking up signals from the event stream.
Then the data you get from them is vulnerable, right? It's subject to data pollution.
How so?
Well, just basic human imprecision. And language itself, words mean different things to different people. That creates noise.
Makes sense.
But crucially, the speaker realized that all this dystopian propaganda, this engineered reality stuff, creates a mental filter in people.
A filter.
Yeah. It changes how people perceive and interpret the precognitive language they leak out. It reduces the context or twists it, causes a necessary distortion in the data coming from the event stream.
So just taking in information isn't enough. You have to account for the filters, your own and others.
Exactly. Especially if you're trying to make sense of it all or make forecasts. Interrogating those filters is key.
Okay, so let's connect this to some actual forecast mention. The whole saga of $600 silver.
Right. So the earliest reports back in 97 picked up things like sun disease,
Which evolved into an idea about solar-driven climate changes, sometimes mistaken for human-caused.
That's the interpretation, yeah. It also picked up new money, which now looks like cryptos and new electrics, pointing towards zero-point energy, advanced tech.
And $600 silver was in there, too.
It was. And initially, the interpretation was pretty literal, pretty simple.
Like what?
It was linked to major social degradation, wars, riots, hunger, the end of the dollar. The idea, even held briefly by the speaker, was this future where society collapses and people are literally trading silver dimes to survive.
Okay, a classic collapse scenario.
Yeah. But here's where the dynamic nature of reality, the shifting event stream, comes in.
Thanks, Jim.
According to the source, yes. A major shift was linked to the 2016 election of Trump, seen as representing a very large mass movement pushing back against that engineered degradation.
So the context shifted.
Exactly. That mass movement changed the dynamics in the event stream. It invalidated the original context for $600 silver as a currency for total collapse.
But wait, the social breakdown, wars, riots, a lot of that did happen.
It did, absolutely. But the specific impetus for trading physical silver as money, that didn't materialize in the same way. The conditions changed.
So what's the new understanding of $600 silver in the data?
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still valid in the data sets. But it's now seen as primarily connected to the new electrics, to zero-point technology.
So not currency, but industrial use.
The belief now is it relates to specific silver isotopes that are really valuable for these advanced technologies. Not for buying bread after the collapse. It's the same data point, $600 silver, but its meaning, its manifestation shifted.
Fascinating. A reinterpretation based on the unfolding reality.
Precisely.
And what about cryptos? You mentioned new money.
Right. Cryptos emerged after 2009. Initially, they were seen in the data as a potential vehicle over the collapse of the dollar.
A way to bypass the old system.
Yeah. And the source even suggests they might have been engineered, possibly by military intelligence, as a counter to the forces trying to debase the dollar.
Whoa. Okay, so cryptos as a countermeasure in this bigger conflict within the event stream.
That's the idea presented, which leads nicely to another big forecast, the three monetary systems.
Ah, yes. The idea that three systems would be offered, the first two rejected, the third accepted.
And the source says this has basically already happened,
Mm.
just maybe not in one big dramatic reveal. It's been unfolding.
Okay, walk us through the three systems.
System one, the Great Reset, the whole you will own nothing and be happy idea.
And the reaction.
As the source puts it, humans didn't like it. Widespread rejection.
Okay. System two.
Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. They're still trying to push those, but there's significant resistance there too.
Right. So system three, the one that gets accepted.
That's the crypto world. It's
Yeah.
becoming larger and larger. It's seen as absorbing debt, integrating, and leading towards a new way of backing currencies.
Like a basket of assets.
Exactly. A new U.S. Treasury dollar backed by gold, natural resources, food, labor, and cryptos. Not one single event, but a process that's happening now. A continuous transformation.
So if reality is this dynamic event stream, consciousness-driven, are there rules, underlying principles?
The source is deeply interested in those rules. A core one mentioned is everyone always acts in their own self-interest.
Yeah, and space aliens.
Even hypothetical space aliens, yeah.
Yeah.
It's presented as a fundamental motivator.
Okay. How does that play out in this stream?
Well, it helps understand these big energy flows or trends. Things like the fourth turning or the age of Aquarius.
Large-scale cycles?
Right. And the event engineers, those groups trying to steer things, they try to harmonize their efforts with these natural waves.
Align their plans with existing energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The source gives an example, noting alleged correlations between specific dates, described as Jew holidays, and astronomic or energy shifts, which they claim align with past financial crashes. The key point from the source isn't about the holiday itself, but about event engineers supposedly exploiting these underlying natural energy rhythms for their own ends.
Okay, reporting that as the source's claim on exploiting natural cycles.
Correct. And this idea of needing massive energy explains why individual predictions, from lone prophets, Boponi is mentioned, often fail.
They just don't have enough juice to change the stream.
Pretty much. They lack the massive energy needed. Individual prophecy, the source says bluntly, is often poor.
So what are the pitfalls for forecasters then?
A big one is early success. Getting a few things right can lead to ego getting involved.
And ego messes things up.
Leads to failure down the line, yeah. Another is confirmation bias.
Seeing what you want to see.
Right. Especially with numerologists, Poponi or David Serra mentioned again. The numbers they use might be valid data points from the stream.
But the interpretation is off.
The meaning behind them is not, right? Because it's driven by their own hope or desire, that personal dopamine hit, not the complex reality the number actually points to.
There's another anecdote. Joe, Jane at 4.
Yeah, perfect example. Had a precognitive dream about a market crash and getting cheap cryptos.
Okay.
But what actually happened was he was in an airplane crash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And cryptos only dipped slightly later. His interpretation of this signal was way off. He mapped it onto his desires, not the actual event it signaled.
Similar to how the source felt their own early interpretations were sometimes skewed by that Elohim worship cult propaganda filter.
Exactly. Our biases distort the signal, which is why the source emphasizes their software helps. It reduces that blinding and emotional attachment.
Makes the forecasts less personal, more objective.
More objective, yeah. And there's a personal story about learning not to fight what's emerging, even if you dislike it. The speaker initially hated XRP, Ripple.
Didn't like the code or something.
Right, but the data kept pointing to it. Eventually they bought some, despite their personal feelings. Learning not to fight that, which the data shows, is coming up in reality.
Letting the data lead, not your preference.
That's the lesson.
Okay, let's talk karma. How does that fit into this event stream model?
Karma is described as fundamental, like the power for all of the event stream and for your whole fucking life.
Wow. So actions have real consequences in this stream.
Big time. Bad decisions, the idea goes, can actually create pathways, energetic pathways, for more bad decisions. It's a feedback loop.
The source mentions others. Corey Good, David Wilcock.
Yeah, as examples of people seemingly caught in making more and more bad decisions, like grifting off false information, trapping themselves in negative karmic loops.
And the speaker shared a personal example of karma.
Very openly. The CentroCoin incident in 2017
What happened there?
was a crypto scam. And the speaker software mistakenly flagged it as legitimate because its name was confusingly similar to another project, a data merge error. Yeah, big repercussions. But the point was how they handled it. They went public immediately, did interviews to destroy the scammer, cooperated fully with authorities, dealt with an 18-month SEC subpoena.
To accountability.
Full accountability, being upfront to clear up the misimpression.
Mm.
That whole experience is why they stopped doing specific crypto reports. It showed the real-world impact and the need for responsibility within this stream.
So tying this all together, the end of the world as we know it isn't one big collapse.
No. According to this view, it happens daily. Reality is constantly being recreated in the event stream. It's a continuous process of change, decay, and rebirth, not a single apocalypse.
It's always ending and beginning, moment by moment.
Exactly. That ceaseless flicker, influenced by consciousness, engineered narratives, karmic feedback, all of it churning together.
So we've covered a lot. Defining this common shared reality, the consciousness first view, engineered reality, data pollution.
Reinterpreting forecasts like the $600 silver, the monetary shifts.
And the rules, the pitfalls, the karma involved in navigating this event stream.
It's a lot to take in, but the goal is to help you get a handle on it all. Because understanding these mechanics, as the source says, it empowers you to do things.
It gives you a different lens to view everything.
Absolutely. It can shift your perspective, help you engage more consciously, maybe see the filters at play.
So the final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. If reality is this ceaseless, incredibly complex stew of energies, possibilities constantly emerging,
And if your own consciousness is always filtering it, maybe even influencing its manifestation.
then what does it really mean to know anything or control anything?
And maybe more importantly, how can you engage with this unfolding event stream consciously without getting trapped by your own biases or by the narratives others are trying to engineer?
Something to definitely think about as we continue these deep dives into the nature of our world.